Hello everybody, this is Yar the Bug coming to you for the first time via voice, and I'm bringing you my Cricket 20R tech demo. This is the lifter that I'm going to be using to do Sturm's Tiger's permanent Duna outpost. And as you see here, it is a 2+2 asparagus staging. We're going to fly straight up until the first stage runs out of fuel, and that should be just a minute or two. There we go, any second. Alright, so pop those off. You see the chutes are already deployed. So I've got on each one of these a little probe that allows me to go in and open the landing gear. And I'm going to switch over and open the other landing gear. And then here in a second I'm going to fast forward. There we go. And I can actually control these somewhat. Whoa, don't run into one another. I can control one of these at a time, and what I generally do is try to point one of them at the other so that they land pretty close. You see some of the other ones that I've done on previous tests. But basically, there you have it. That is the first stage coming down, and the chutes deploy a little bit early. I've adjusted that on the tweakables. I basically have one and then two more open, and by the time we get down, we're going slow enough. Boop, that it'll just rock back on the tailpipes and we are good to go. I'm going to swing in here real quick and rename these guys so that I remember which ones are which, and I'm going to show a map view at the end so that you can see where all of these stages landed. So here we are back on the launch pad, and you see us taking off at 8 times time acceleration. I got turned 90 degrees, so you're going to see me do that quick roll before I pop off my tanks, and we're going to take this guy on up to about 36,000 meters, where we're going to drop our second pair of tanks. And it's slowing down. Here we go, and there they go. I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to open these guys, open the landing gears on this one. Then I'm going to switch to the other one and open his landing gear, of course. And then I'm going to try to roll, actually try to get these to go down and follow one another down like I did the last ones. That way I can have oh, there, I just lost it. So I'm going to try to spin this one around repeatedly. Let's go ahead and fast forward. So here we go, spiraling down out of control until eventually the chutes pop and I can gain some kind of semblance of control. And again, I'm trying to steer this one towards the other one. But as we get down to the appropriate height, you see the chutes pop. Oh, and we lost a part off of our other rocket. And this is something that happens probably maybe 1 in every 10 of these rockets, call it a manufacturing defect or what have you. But I tried the octo struts initially when I started building this, and I never had a motor fall off. Oh, you see it's just that little adapter and 2 of the motors. But I decided to stick with the cowling because it just looks a lot better than a couple of motors just gobbed on there. But we're going to fast forward down here. You see the other one falling in the distance. And here in just a second, you see it's also falling a little bit slower because it's got less parts on it. But we're going to slow down here and splash down. And once again, got to find the other guy. I'm going to rename this and switch over to the other guy and rename him. And you see, of course, the back half of it's gone from that adapter and the 2 motors. So here we're skipping ahead. We've already taken off, we've already done our roll and lost our first two tanks, and there we lose our other 2 to be recovered out of the ocean. And we've got just these 12, the little tiny Rockamax engines, the little surface mount or stack mount orange ones. And you see that they are barely enough to get us into orbit. Oh, there was the change. And see, there we are most certainly in space. I'm going to drop a maneuver node in there and fast forward ahead. Let me fiddle with it for a good long time so that it's nice and boring for you. So we're going to go ahead and speed ahead, and we're actually still inside the atmosphere at this point, so we can only use the 4 times acceleration. Oh, there we go. So we're going to speed ahead, and oh, you saw Kerbal alarm clock popping in over there. And just to be different, I'm going to go ahead and circularize using RCS only. I've got some fuel left in there. I want to say it's about 250. Oh, there you see. I can't see how it is because I'm recording, or I'm doing only the voice right now. But nonetheless, RCS is enough to get us into orbit. And here in a second we will have our nice circularized orbit. That's close enough. So, without further ado, I'm going to decouple this. This is just a test payload. Let me name it such right here. And I'm going to leave that in orbit. I'm not going to mess with it during the actual challenge play. I consider this is the first 10 days that you're allowed to use and prepare your rocket. But I'm going to use the RCS to deorbit as well. And basically the reason for this, if I wind up with a little bit of extra fuel or wind up with a little bit of extra RCS, I'd like to be able to transfer that into my spacecraft. And nonetheless, that's, I guess, dumping it into space using the Thunder Aerospace fuel mod. Do a couple quick screenshots, I'm sure. And then we're going to cruise down and begin our re-entry. You see we're already well down, under 60,000 meters, dropping down to 50,000 meters in 4 times time acceleration for the game, and then 4 times also from post-processing. You see there goes our periapsis into the Earth, or into Kerbal. Oh, it looks like we're definitely going to undershoot. Oh, almost missed the good part, almost missed the flames. So you see we peaked about 12,000 degrees Celsius there, or rather 1,200 degrees. But this is a rather interesting situation. The heat shield is actually heavy enough that it keeps the vehicle in this orientation where it's just going to nosedive into the ocean if nothing happens. And I don't know if it may be the Ferrum Aerospace working on the body to keep it flying like a dart because it's got this big heavy weight at the front. I'm not sure what it is, but oh, there goes our chutes, and we do a little flip. That, of course, if those were real ropes, would have tangled it, and we would have a bad time. So here we're going to disconnect these 2 parts, that is the heat shield and this little docking port. I always start my vehicles off with the docking port. It's really not necessary to this build, but we see that disappear, and the docking port. Come on, docking port. There we go. So you see those two pieces destroyed, and now we're going to fast forward down to the water, going 200 feet now, 150, 100, and we're going to come out of post-processing time acceleration and splash down and tip over very gracefully. And I actually had problem with some of these parts getting destroyed when the rocket was longer, which that's why I kept it so short. So now here we have the map view. There's stage 3, which we just left, stage 1, stage 2, and our delivered payload in orbit. So now we're going to have some bonus material. This is basically my attempt to see what is the most fuel that I can take off with, the maximum that I can lift off the pad, seeing how much weight I can get into orbit doing that. And I didn't try just a single orange tank. I didn't try like a orange tank with a quarter tank on there. But you saw we lost our first stage, and then we start using TAC fuel balancer to basically transfer the fuel freely throughout the ship. And this is meaning that it's pulling from all parts and keeping it all the same amount, percentage gone, just like it does RCS fuel. So we're getting down pretty close, 65, 63, I think at either 50 or 60% is when I cut the second stage off. Here, we'll see me do it here in a second. Oh, there we go. Ah, okay, so at 50% I turned off the fuel balancer, so now those 2 pairs of the big engines there, they're only pulling from that half tank there, and boom, they're gone. So now we've got the trouble that we're too high in our orbit. So I'm burning right at the horizon until I start falling back down slightly, or rather until I start losing the vertical speed. And now I'm burning as fast as I can trying to get my Apple apps up. Oh, we got it. Transfer all the fuel in there. It looks like just a little over half of an orange tank. Thank you very much for watching. This is Yar the Bug signing out.